If you believe you can rest when you're dead, listen up, because today's episode is going to flip the script. Today, we're going to be breaking it down on how if you're skipping rest, you may be skipping success. Hey, lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Bolts. I'm an attorney and founder of Bolts Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Bolts, owner of Bolts Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Miss Biz, where we're putting the miss in biz.
Let's get biz done.
I am definitely guilty of being one of those people who did not value rest. And I think part of it is that I just viewed rest as a waste of time. And I also viewed it as just either sleeping or vegging out in front of the TV. But a couple of things happened that changed my perspective on rest. The first is that I was diagnosed with cancer, and my sister, who is a chiropractor, sat me down and said, look, I think that part of the reason your body was susceptible to this is because you aren't giving yourself enough rest and your stress level is too high. So I took that advice and started, kind of being more open to the idea of rest, but still not fully valuing it. Then I went to a church service and the sermon was all about rest, and that was what really helped me to understand the importance of this.
Yeah, God was definitely talking to you. All those signs.
So the pastor pointed out that rest is actually a commandment, that the 4th commandment of the top 10 commandments that we live by in the Old Testament is to remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy, which means we are to rest. So resting is not just a luxury, it's actually a directive from God. And so when I realized that, I thought, okay, this is definitely more important than what I have been believing. But also it caused me to ask, why is it so important? And start to dive into what am I supposed to be doing in this time of rest that makes it so important to God? Because the Sabbath, keeping the Sabbath holy, isn't just about sleeping all day.
Right.
Or playing video games all day or watching TV all day. That's not really what it's intended to mean. It's about spending that time with Him, mm-hmm. and having dedicated time to pray, worship, read, study, build your relationship with God.
I know when we were talking just before we filmed this, you mentioned how this commandment is right up there with thou shalt not kill, which is, that should really open our eyes to realize how much we need to truly prioritize this alone time with God and physical repair as well. And I think a lot of times we all have our different reasons. I know you said that you don't feel like you're being productive when you're resting. Some people may feel guilty too. I know often I will try to lay down to take a nap and I just cannot turn my brain off. I'm thinking about all the things that I need to be doing, and eventually it gets to be so much to the point where I just have to get up and do those things because I cannot turn my brain off. So I think that there's definitely like some retraining that needs to be done in order to truly truly rest.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I can't shut my brain off, or I just get bored. I think I've shared before that in times that I've tried to get a massage, I just am counting down the minutes till it's over because I'm just bored and I want to go do the things that I have on my to-do list that day.
So rest actually increases clarity, creativity, and resilience. I was having a coaching session with Fernando, and from Unblinded, who's been on our show before, and I was talking to him about just some of the hurdles I was trying to overcome, and what we identified was I was working a lot of hours thinking that the longer I was up, the more I could get done. But I was also just physically exhausted. And what Fernando had recommended at that time was to start time blocking and to make sure that I'm getting at least 8 hours of sleep. So I took his advice. Yes, women do listen to men. So I took his advice. Yeah.
Sometimes.
We gotta put the little asterisk right there. But I took his advice and I implemented it, and boy, oh boy, was it true. Because after getting at least 8 hours of sleep, or around 8 hours of sleep, I was able to get 3 to 4 times as much done. And if I'd never prioritized the actual physical rest part of it, then who knows? I mean, I may still be looking all crazy and tired.
In addition to being the host of the Miss Biz podcast, I also own and operate a law firm in Florida called Bolts Legal. I wanted to make sure my listeners knew that you are invited to reach out to me with any legal issues you may have. I practice in the area of personal injury, home insurance disputes, and medical revenue recovery. However, whatever legal issue you may have, please always feel free to reach out. If I can't help you personally, I'll help you find someone who can. I'm licensed in the states of Florida and Texas, but even out of state, I have connections and know people in those places, and I'm happy to help guide you in any way I can. The best way to reach me is through the contact page on my website, boltzlegal.com. That's BOLTZ legal.com, and simply fill out the contact form, which comes directly to me and my email. I look forward to connecting with you, and thank you so much for listening to Miss Biz.
Well, step one is definitely sleep, making sure you're getting enough sleep. And everyone talks about the benefits of sleep, and we all know that if we're not getting enough sleep, our body isn't functioning at its maximum capacity. And so that's really step one. But what I want to talk about even more is that intentional rest while you're awake, and ways to improve your productivity, improve your life as a whole, because you are keeping that Sabbath day holy.
Absolutely. Yeah, rest can help to prevent burnout. And so some statistics about burnout show that 89% of workers reported feeling somewhat or very burnt out over in the past year. So that just shows how prevalent feeling burnt out is, because we are in a society now where there's so many distractions and so many obligations of things that we have to do, that I think that we've just really gotten rid of the rest.
Yeah. I was just thinking that I want to give you permission to rest and not feel like you're being lazy, or feel like you're not doing the things that you need to do. I was thinking of last week. I worked from home one day because I was going to utilize that day as a partial intentional rest day. So I was sitting in the bed doing some stuff on my phone, and my husband came home for lunch, and he walks in and he's like, he sees me there in like my sweatpants and whatever, and he's like, so busy day at work today? And he's like, poking fun, because it was a Friday, and we usually record the podcast on Fridays, and so I didn't have anything scheduled. And so I was using it to try to do some of these other things. And so he just kind of was poking fun. And ordinarily I would have felt really self-conscious or guilty that I wasn't using every minute to make money, or using every minute to clean the house, or using, that's usually how I would be. So you have to first just change your mindset that rest has a purpose. Rest is going to improve your productivity. Just like you said when you got 8 hours of sleep, how that math worked out so exponentially better. You've got to believe that. If you don't believe that, if you're still believing that every minute I'm not working, I'm not being productive, then you cannot benefit from the rest. You have to first give yourself permission and change your mindset that rest is a command. It is necessary, it is important, and believe that you will bear fruit from it.
Absolutely. Even even God rested on the seventh day. And in the Bible, it talks so many times about how when Jesus came here on earth, how he would just get away. He would disappear, and it would be because he wanted those moments alone with the Lord. There would be all kinds of craziness happening, and people would constantly be looking for him, but he would be either off in the wilderness or on top of a mountain or somewhere where he could be alone with God.
And I love that, because we should all have our own mountaintop or our own place in the wilderness, like our place that we can go, whether it's within our house or maybe it's our car or wherever it is. Maybe it's out in nature somewhere, at the beach, wherever, some place that you go intentionally to try to get into the presence of God alone and focus on him. And that's the kind of rest we're talking about. Jesus' example, not just watching Netflix.
Yes.
Which, we all know I'm a fan of that too.
Yeah. I feel like you typically are doing something while you're watching Netflix.
Yeah, I play Candy Crush too. But
I can't with you. It's too funny. So the Sabbath principle in practice, there's several examples of companies today that prioritize rest. And one of them is Chick-fil-A. They're closed on Sunday. So per their policy, Chick-fil-A closes all locations every Sunday, sacrificing one of the busiest fast food days. But the result is that they consistently outperform competitors in revenue per store, earning more than McDonald's, Starbucks, or Subway.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to imagine, but that's that math that doesn't make sense. Saturdays and Sundays has to be the busiest days for restaurants in general. And to close on Sunday and give up all that revenue is a huge sacrifice, but they're still outperforming their competitors. So the math doesn't make sense. You have to accept that. Like you can't in your mind think that if I'm resting for this number of hours, that same number of hours isn't going to get done. It is going to get done. In fact, it's going to get done probably much more efficiently than it would have been done if you didn't take that time for rest. Just like the Chick-fil-A math really doesn't make sense, how they can make more with less time earning money. It doesn't make sense, but it's God math. And so it works out to your benefit if you just trust it and do it.
This God's chicken right there.
Another example of another business who has prioritized rest is Microsoft Japan. They experimented with a 4-day work week. So in 2019, they tested a 4-day work week with full pay. And you would never believe the results. The productivity jumped 40%.
That's crazy.
I can't make sense of it. Because if you told me shut down my business to 4 days a week and that my revenue or productivity was going to increase, I could not wrap my head around that.
We should try it.
I don't know. I'm not there yet. Baby steps, baby steps. I'm just trying to rest the Sabbath right now. But yeah, so did jump 40%. And so what they did was they had to be more efficient with the time they had. They cut their meetings shorter and made them more focused. And employee satisfaction increased dramatically. Employees wanted to get their work done so that they weren't behind. So they just worked harder during those 4 days, and then they had so much more they were so much more content and job satisfaction having 3 days to themselves as opposed to 2.
When it comes to social media, sometimes having a scheduling tool can be extremely helpful, but with so many different options, it's difficult to determine which one is best for your needs as well as your budget. That's why we created the social media planner comparison chart.
Then you can look at all the different options and choose the one that's best for you. For your free copy, visit missbiz.com/contact and simply type into the subject line, social media comparison chart.
So the takeaway is that sometimes less time can lead to better focus and efficiency when rest is built into the business model.
I love that. And I've heard other studies in the past where I think it's Google. Actually, Google has where the employees can actually like sleep. They have like sleep zones.
Them. the nap pods.
Yeah.
I actually read about that while I was doing this this outline, and the nap pods. Yeah, they say that has increased productivity as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, it just goes to show you how important rest is, and just taking some extra time to actually spend time with God, but also to just not be stressed. So rest can look a couple different ways. It can look physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And some of the ways that you can really lean into rest is just to start some healthy routines.
Yeah, so scheduling rest is something you can do to make sure that you do it. You can take a day a week, like how the Sabbath would look like, but if that's not feasible for you, you can schedule in hours of your week at different times that you plan for rest. And one of the things that I learned of recently is a place that just opened up here in Oviedo called Mind Vibes. And it is pretty cool because it's intentional rest. You go in and it's a bed that has vibrations, and you put on headphones that has music that is at certain frequencies that are intended to relax your brain. And also it has lights. I didn't do the light part of it because I'm still recovering from my surgeries, but I think they're glasses that you put on that have lights at different intensities, different colors, and different speeds. And all of these things, there's science behind it that it all helps to relax and rejuvenate your mind. And this is something that I would have told you before sounded like hocus pocus, like I was not the person going to sound bowl ceremonies. Like I just was not, I would have thought it was all just mumbo jumbo. But I tried the Mind Vibes bed, and I can say that I physically felt more relaxed the rest of that day in a way that I can't really recall feeling any other time. Because, you just kind of get used to how you feel every day, and you may be under stress, but you just kind of get used to it. And until there's a change in that, you don't even recognize that you're feeling stressed. But yesterday I could feel physically just kind of a more peacefulness than I have felt as in quite some time.
So how can people who are interested learn more about Mind Vibes?
Well, right now I think Mind Vibes is only in Oviedo. It's part of Synergy Chiropractic. They have their office space is divided in two. Mind Vibes is on one side, Synergy's on the other side. So I tried to find the Mind Vibes website actually yesterday, and I couldn't find the actual site just by searching. So I think you'd be better to look up Synergy Chiropractic and then contact them through that. This whole month and possibly even past this month, your first visit is free. But if you don't live in the area, then you can, some of these things like the sound bath, like the salt room, or the float tank, or some of these other things are similar type of things that focus on one aspect of this that you could use to help you, because I kind of need that help of to slow my thoughts and help me to focus on what I'm trying to focus on. But others don't need that so much, and they can just get into a quiet place or get out in nature and they're good to be able to focus. But I like that Mind Vibes really help me to quiet those outside thoughts that were a distraction, and really just kind of focus on what the guided meditation was taking me through on the headset. So that was something that I experienced recently that was useful to me. But just prayer, reading, worship, if you play an instrument, playing the instrument in worship, or if you don't, just playing worship music, taking a digital Sabbath, which is stepping away from the electronics and just being present in your daily life. Driving is probably my special place, like my place where I go. It's the only place where I can be by myself and pray and have music available to worship, like all the things. Like my car is a sanctuary for me in some ways. And then some of those other things we talked about are also options, but just really scheduling it into your daily or your weekly routine, and then setting the time aside and just doing it.
Making it a habit and implementing it as a staple in your life. So today we want to encourage our listeners to choose a business Sabbath or an intentional rest day. Ask, what would change in your growth if you trusted that rest multiplies results? And remember, your best marketing idea may come in a moment of silence rather than in a moment of sprint. We appreciate you and are honored to be on this journey with you. We can't wait to help you, to encourage you, and show you how to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
If you found Miss Biz helpful, please leave a review and share with others.
You can follow us on social media at Miss Biz Podcast.
For legal questions or services, please visit boltslegal.com.
And for digital marketing needs, please visit boltsmedia.com. Let's get biz done.